Welcome to Politics Done Right on KPFT. I am your host, Egberto Williams. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Give me a call at 713-526-5738. That is 713-526-KPFT. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Williams. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I am Egberto Willies, your host. Well, folks, we're going to have a great show today. We have a guest that will be coming in a little later, Tim Danahy from the Tim Danahy Show. Good friend of mine, coffee party brother.
Oh my gosh.
Another person doing some real good work out there. So what are we going to talk about today? We're going to the TPP. Do you know what that is, folks? The Trans-Pacific Partnership. That is what we're going to be talking about. You know, folks, it's kind of interesting. This week, it's all about that for now. For now. You know, who is right? The president says that Elizabeth Warren is somehow wrong. The president says that he knows what is best for us. Right. Is President Obama right? Or is Elizabeth Warren right? We don't know. Or do we know? For too long, these discussions have been held. They have been held at these high levels. You know, it's time that we do more than that. It's not, you know, a lot of people have a tendency to believe that they know better than we do. That is not the case. That is not the case. So, what are we looking at? What exactly are we looking at? You know, folks, let me tell you. The media seldom gives these matters the coverage necessary so that Americans understand the pilfering that is orchestrated behind closed doors. Well, we will. We will actually get into the nitty-gritty of the entire thing. We will. We will start discussing that. Okay, it seems like we got our mic issue taken care of for now. But anyhow, you know, folks, what time it is. And we know what time it is. It's time for the weekly blog post. This is going to be a short one because I want to get Tim and I want to get folks involved into this a little quicker. You know, folks, as usual, this is a call-in show. 713-526-5738 is the number. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. I really want to hear from you guys on this issue because I want you engaged in this issue. But the blog of the week, it's called President Obama says Elizabeth Warren is wrong about the TPP. Is he right? On April 15th, Elizabeth Warren came out swinging against the Trans-Pacific Partnership. She had the support of the unions and Senator Bernie Sanders, independent in Vermont, among other liberals and progressives. No more secret trade deals, said Elizabeth Warren. Are you ready to fight? No more secret deals. No more special deals for multinational corporations. Are you ready to fight? Are you ready to fight any more deals that say we are going to help the rich get richer and leave everyone else behind? Are you ready to fight? So were the words of Elizabeth Warren on April 15th, tax day. President Obama appeared on a panel on Chris Matthews' Hardball. When asked why there is so much pushback from liberals and progressives in his party, he said they simply did not want a trade deal. I love Elizabeth Warren, President Obama said. We are all allies on a whole host of issues, but she is wrong on this. President Obama went on to say that when he came into office, he asked himself what kind of trade deal he would like to see that worked for Americans. He said he wanted trade deals with countries to have strong enforceable labor standards, strong environmental standards, and reciprocal access to their markets. While that sounds great, the reality of all trade deals thus far is that they have all failed in all those respects. They have made corporations and their stockholders rich as workers got displaced and underpaid. President Obama's biggest support is coming from the Chamber of Commerce, Republicans, and corporatist Democrats like ex-Congressman Harold Ford Jr. You know, these are folks that have always been critical of the president's more middle-class centric policies. If they are unanimously for the deal, it generally indicates the bill is biased towards a corporate-centric elite. And who is that? The American plutocracy. Demos President Heather McGhee had the most important statement that most in the debate generally miss. Those promoting the deal purposely do not discuss it. I would love for there to be a little more honesty about what this is really about, Heather McGhee said. This massive deal is actually not about trade. It's about 14 things, and trade is the smallest of them all. She then went on to discuss the investor-state dispute settlement provision, where corporations can sue government if the laws they pass affect their bottom line.
I didn't realize he was using the second one. How have you been? How about you? Good.
Any benefits for the environment and workers are secondary. Folks, do remember this is a call-in show. The number is 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-KPFT. Before I bring Tim in, I want to add a little bit to the prose that I just read because it got to me. The president has always been for the middle class, granted. The president has always had middle class centric policies in his innermost soul. It exudes out of this guy. The question that one has to ask is, why then would this president be so engaged in the passage of a law that will be so detrimental to the middle class, immaterial, irrelevant, whatever he says as far as we better do it or else China will do it first? I am sorry. That is not an answer. That is not a reason. So my question has always been, why would this president, an otherwise very intelligent, social justice type president, be in support of a bill or a trade agreement of this type. I have a few. I'll be honest with you, folks. I think there's much more that we have not yet seen. I can almost guarantee you there's a deal occurring here in the background that this president may want to give them this because there may be a promise for the middle class that we don't hear about. However, this would be the wrong deal. I want to bring my good old friend from the Tim Danahy Show, brother Tim Danahy. Join the conversation, my friend. How are you doing, sir?
Well, it is an honor to be with you, Egberto. You're one of the top talk radio talents in the country, and the people in Houston are lucky to have you. It's an honor to be on your show.
Well, look, thank you for those kind words, but you know, I have a lot of folks to look up to, you being one of them with your utter intellect, sir. Talk to me. Tell me about the TPP. Tell me what you think, and tell me, first of all, what you thought about what I had to say. And before I go there, though, folks, it's a call-in show. Many of you may not have heard about the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, a trade deal, but it has an effect on you, and I would love to hear your voice. You know about NAFTA, you know about CAFTA, you know about all these treaties that affect the working man in this country, not only in Houston and elsewhere, but right here. So give me a call, 713-526-5738. Come on in, Tim.
Well, you know, Egberto, the TPP, I'm wondering if we should be calling it the CPP, because really it's the Corporate Protection Pact. There isn't much trade involved, as you say, and it does not have any broad support. And in fact, amongst people who know what is in it, Democrat or Republican, it's almost universally against the TPP. So I agree with you. I've spent a lot of time wondering why Obama is so dismissive of the popular voice, and what could possibly be the deal. What could, I always think the government, Egberto, has a 20-year planning horizon.
Right.
That's a luxury we don't have, that's a luxury corporations don't have. Could there be something in here 20 years out that maybe benefits the American people? Truthfully, I don't see it. I just don't see it.
I don't see it either. And, no one, look, I don't go around, you don't go around, we don't go around praising presidents. We go around being concerned about the policies that they come about with, and based on the policies they put out there, we decide whether they were good for America, whether we like them or not. I am still of the belief that this president really wants to do good. I'm also of the belief that this president has been convinced in his insular office, and note the word insular, because I think he has been so convinced that what he is doing is right, or he has made a deal that says, well, I'll give yet something else to the corporate being so that I can take care of the middle class, that likely he did this. But beforehand, I have a caller, and I want to bring the caller in early because I want the callers to sort of direct the conversation, because we want this conversation to be something that the average American citizen understand. Many times we talk trade deals, it goes over everybody's head. I don't want this to be a conversation that goes over people's head. I want it to be a discussion that people realize this is an existential issue for working America, an existential issue for the middle class. So, Reese, you're hot.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. I just had a quick comment. You're asking why could this be? How could the president support this thing? And I think there's only a few reasons that could happen. Either one, he doesn't know what it is. Two, he's being forced to. Three, he's been setting us up the whole time while he's been running his presidency. But as you said, he's exudes compassion for the middle class, and he's been middle class advocate and lower class and helping those that need help and that kind of thing. So I doubt that he's been setting us up the whole time. So, it only leaves two other options on the table. And I think it's very unfortunate that we're the main problem that I have is that none of the trade acts have ever benefited the middle class in the past substantially. And I think we're giving away a lot of rights by agreeing to this trade deal. And the problem is they're trying to fast track and leave us in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that anytime we give up, our rights and our whereabouts to the politicians, to the government, we're selling ourselves short and we're setting ourselves up for disaster. Because, I mean, there's plenty of examples in history where that's happened, and we got to be aware because they work for us. So, as you said earlier in the show, in the beginning of the show, that Elizabeth Warren was saying, does he know better or do we know better? And I think that's the main point. I mean, we can't just, as much as anybody may like Obama, we can't just give him all the rights.
No.
Trade deal without.
I want to interrupt you for 1 second, Reese. I want to interrupt you because you just made a very important point that I want every Democrat, every liberal, everybody else to hear. You made a very important point. And let me tell you why I want to highlight it, and then I'm going to ask Tim to respond to you before I come back to you. But here's the deal. Too many times we only think party, and we do that at our detriment. In other words, I got a whole lot of pushback for the post that I wrote a couple of days ago where I was critical of the president and in support of Warren. And the messages said, if Obama thinks that it's good for the middle class, then it's good for the middle class. Absolutely not. Many times Obama himself would have loved to have the pushback from his left flank, because that gives him the spine that he needs when he's going in there to negotiate and say, look, I simply cannot do that because my flank won't allow me to do that. But if he has no flank, if he has no pushback, there is no reason for him to do what is necessary for the left flank. And actually, we can talk about left flank and all that kind of stuff. The reality is, it's not about the left flank, this particular issue. This trade deal affects whether you're a right winger, left winger, or any winger. This particular trade agreement has a material detrimental effect on you irrespective of ideology. Tim, I'll ask you to come in. And then before that, though, folks, I want to hear from you guys. Don't have a lot of calls on the line right now. I need to hear from you because this is existential, folks. 713-526-5738. Again, that number, 713-526-5738. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say I think you made a tremendous point there where you mentioned that, the decisions made in the political office cannot be biased to any party. It's about serving the people. So how do you serve the people? Well, you serve the majority of the people. And so all your decisions should be considering the majority of the people. It can't be playing favorites. So anytime somebody does that, they're being very passive. They're being in a stage of denial, and they're basically weak. But the main point that you made, I think, is so tremendous, is the fact that the president, although may be all noble and may have all the good intentions, like you said, if the majority of the people that he's trying to fight for don't support him, I mean, he's only one man.
Right.
He can't fight all the battles by himself. That's why he says, a lot of times you hear him do public speaking, he says, I encourage you to go to your senators, go to your politicians, demand what you need, demand what you want, demand what outcome you want for this particular topic. He may have not openly said that or addressed the American populace with that kind of a resolve or response to the issue that he's trying to operate on behalf. But we need to know that as Americans, that if, the president, we don't know what kind of pressures he's up against.
Right.
So if we're not supporting him, he has, like you said, no footing, no backbone to stand upon or stand up with to fight against on, whatever political pressures he's fighting against on our accord. So
right.
If we don't back him up, then we're just as wrong as he is.
Absolutely. I'm glad that you said that, sir. Let me to ask him to comment about that before I move on to another. I'll give you a chance to wrap up, but let me ask him to come on in. Tim?
Well, you guys are bringing up good points, and Reese, I agree with you. But Harry Reid is quoted as saying no to the TPP. And
actually, he said hell no.
Exactly. He said hell no. And Nancy Pelosi is consistent with that. And so one would think that would bypass, chief trade negotiator John Froman, who is a friend of Obama's, a longtime friend. And so he has to be aware of his own party's lack of support. This is not a President Obama versus Elizabeth Warren thing, although Elizabeth Warren is the most articulate. What it is some kind of denial, some sort of something that he must see that we don't, whether it be a national security strategy or just maybe even a corporate sellout for the 2016 election.
I think I'll give you the corporate sellout to some extent, and the reason I want to say I give you the corporate sellout to some extent is that it seemed every president, irrespective of party, in this year always does that. We have to remember that it was in fact Bill Clinton who passed Glass-Steagall, in as much as it was through a Republican Congress, passed Glass-Steagall, which actually caused the depression that we had in 2008. Nobody wants to quite call it a depression. If you take a look at the numbers, it was in fact a depression. So I think what happens is, you always hear me use a phrase. There is the president, and then there is the presidency. But, I think I want to give Shannon first a chance to give us a traffic report. And before the traffic report, I want her to kind of just say a little something about the TPP, because I always want to hear a younger voice as well. So go ahead, Shannon, please.
Well, I wish I actually knew more about the TPP. I know that it's a big bargaining deal. I mean, I am no expert in any of these fields at all.
But I tell you one thing, Shannon, the reason I always like to bring in young folks into the discussion, and I will always do that, is because even if you don't know about it now, if while we are talking you pick up something, I want folks your age to know it, because you have to go out there and be that beacon as well that's going to put that information out there. And, we have a good spokesperson in you as well. So let's hear the traffic report.
All right. Well, right now on the North Freeway, on the Katy Freeway, a heavy truck accident is affecting the left shoulder, center lane, left interchange ramp, and right interchange ramp. So that's a pretty heavy, massive backup. On the Katy Freeway inbound at Houston Avenue, an accident involving two vehicles is blocking a left lane and shoulder. And I'll be back with a few other accidents around town, but those are the major ones. And with your weather. So back to you, Egberto.
Muchísimas gracias, amiga mía. Anyhow, folks, coming back to you, Tim, do you have anything else to say before or actually not to Tim, but to Reese? Anything else to say before I jump to Bruce? Reese? Okay, maybe you're not at the phone anymore, or you're on mute, Reese. Okay, let's go to Bruce then. Bruce?
Hi, thanks for taking my call.
How you doing, my friend?
Yeah, well, you didn't get a young folk here. You got an old folk.
Hey, you know what?
With young ideas.
That's all right. You can tap into the young folks too. I'm sure Shannon would talk to you as well, right, Shannon?
Yeah, I'm no expert on this.
Right.
But hearing about this, to show you how old I am, made me think about a movie I saw years and years ago called Rollerball.
I remember that movie actually with what's his name? It was a terrible game.
Well, in that dystopian world, corporations ran the world, and nation states were running a poor second, practically irrelevant.
Right.
Okay. And I don't know, but I'm wondering if not this agreement, then I think agreements like this are going to be the first step
Bruce,
to nation states bargaining away their relevance and
Bruce, I don't know how you could have possibly. First of all, let me encourage more folks to call. Folks, 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. I know this is not a topic that you've seen a whole lot on TV. However, let me tell you that it is, in fact, a topic that materially affects you. So if you're listening to this show and don't know exactly what we're talking about, I'd like you to call in and ask us what we're talking about so that we can express it in such a manner that we can show how it materially affects you. Now, back to you, Bruce. Let me tell you something, sir. You actually said something that is important, and you actually saw something that it's important when you spoke about nation state versus the corporate, the corporations that are actually preeminent to the state. And what I'll do is I'll turn this over to Tim, because I'm sure Tim can tell you exactly how it is becoming that it's a corporate state and that this particular agreement allow corporations to be your government. Tim.
Well, it's pretty straightforward in that, let's take an example, Bruce, and let's just say your community, and I don't know where you live, but suppose your community raised its minimum wage from $8 to $15 after the TPP was passed. That $7 an hour would cause damage to a multinational corporation, and therefore your community would have to raise its taxes to compensate the multinational corporation the $7 an hour for every hour that somebody in your community worked. So you do not have recourse in U.S. courts anymore. Instead, if you protest that, you would have to go to a tribunal set up by the TPP, which appoints corporate lawyers to oversee these cases. And so just the sovereignty issue on this would be a huge effect to your community.
Tim, I want to add one quick thing to that as well, because this is also important for those people who are saying, well, we don't know if exactly will it work that way. We have precedents. In Canada right now, the Canadian government is being sued by one of the drug companies for actually, I don't remember if it's that they're removing the patent security from a particular drug or whatever, but it's in the order of hundreds of millions. Likewise, Mexico is being sued because in order to control obesity rates, they are putting taxes on the sugar. What's that? The corn syrup. They're putting taxes on that. High fructose corn syrup. They're putting tariffs on that. They're going to court or going to this tribunal for that. We can go to Argentina, Chile. All these places are being sued by corporations on their own laws. In other words, the preeminence of the corporation and not what the people want. We the people, forget about that. Anything else, Bruce, before I jump, because the lines are really full.
Can I just say real quick, I don't know, I get the feeling that if nation states do lose power to the corporations, it's going to be because they gave it up voluntarily out of misguided greed.
That is TPP for you, sir. That is, you hit it on the money, sir. But the lines are now filled up, so I have to let you go, Bruce. And I appreciate your call. Please keep listening and please keep calling. I think Tori's up.
Okay.
Thank you, Bruce. Tori, you're up.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Talk to me.
Well, these free trade agreements in general are a form of extranational government, and capitalism really depends on that. As capitalism gets bigger than nation states, and so I'm a historian, so I have a little historical perspective on this.
Mm-hmm.
World War II was basically, constitutional corporatism, like the U.S. and Britain, versus unconstitutional corporatism of like Germany, where you had, a dictator versus constitutional.
Mm-hmm.
So rule of law, constitutions basically won that game because it makes it safer for capital to invest.
Right.
Capital always needs to be able to go to court to sue to enforce contract law.
Right.
And when there's dictators, it doesn't work that well. And that was the test, World War II. And so you see Putin kind of stepping off into this, kind of unconstitutional stuff. But oligarchs can go either way.
Right.
People like to concentrate power, but they realized a long time ago that they need something to arbitrate. They need court systems. And so far within the nation states, constitutions, make, our form of government is basically constitutional fascism, the corporate style, which was, kind of an Enlightenment ideal 200 years ago.
I'm glad
kind of progressive. But these days, now that, capital has basically outgrown the nation state, they need a new forum to arbitrate contract disputes.
Sir,
and that's where these things come in.
Magical what you just said. But I want to remind most people who read our great Constitution that has great values in it that in effect it is in fact a property document, a capital document. If you take a look at all the features of it, it is there to protect exactly as you said before. Read the Constitution. It's right there for us all to see. If you look at groups like Move to Amend at movetoamend.org, they have some extensive analyses that shows exactly why different provisions of the constitutions are the way that they are. So look, my lines are real filled up.
Last line, it's all about protecting minority rights, minority being the 1%.
Right.
That's what our Constitution is about.
Yes,
I
sir.
mean, they talked about this, and they decided not to have a direct democracy. They decided to have a republic so that they could protect the rights of the oligarchs.
So many folks don't understand the difference between a democracy and a republic and the implications thereof. I mean, yes, we did need a Bill of Rights, which protected the minority, but that's probably all we needed to do to protect the minority. But thank you very much for your call, Tori. You're a great person.
Have a good one.
Keep listening, keep calling. Okay, our next call, Rick. And Rick, talk to me, sir.
Hi. I just wanted to say I have been a big fan of KPFT since I found you guys just by scanning the radio on my lunch break one day sometime last year. And I've loved your guys' show. I'm a member, contributing a little bit each month, what I can, not a whole lot. But I heard you were asking for a young person's opinion, so I wanted to throw my 2 cents in. I'm 25, part of the kind of lower middle class, not too wealthy, but comfortable off.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's absolutely disgusting the direction of our country with giving so much power to corporations, to big corporations. The whole corporate personhood is absolute trash. Corporations are not people. Corporations cannot speak for people. Corporations do not have any of the same rights that
Rick, you just made my day. All while you started talking, I had a little lump in my throat thinking, oh, he loves KPFT, and he said all these things. And somehow, in some part of my prose, I said something that turned him off from the positions that we really need to have. And then you came out and you said the right thing. Thank you. And I need you to do something special.
Absolutely.
And there's something special I need you to do. And first of all, thank you for being a member of KPFT. We have our drive coming up, and I hope you'll continue. Now, but the special thing I need you to do is multiply yourself. Because at 25 years old, you, Shannon, who is around your age as well, you have more power than folks my age have. Because you control a group of folk, or a group of folk would be willing to listen to you guys that won't listen to us. So please do your part, my dear friend, okay?
Absolutely, I will do. I do just want to throw one more thing in there. Of course, not all young people are ignorant. I am saddened that so many people my age don't look into stuff like the TPP, corporate personhood, and campaign financing more. Because if they actually looked into all of these things that are going on within our country, they see that the TPP is just the next step into giving corporations further power within our country, and it's eventually going to turn a huge detriment on everybody but the top 1%.
Look, first of all, Rick, you're absolutely right. And before I let you go, I want Tim to respond. Tim is my special guest, and he has a lot of words of wisdom as well. Go ahead, Tim, and respond. And now I want to have a special admonition for Rick afterwards. Go ahead.
Well, I do want to praise Rick, for being young and being involved. Rick, I salute you on that. We need more people like that. But so many young people, I fear, say something that Shannon said, that we're no expert on the trade agreement. And perhaps people like Egberto, myself, have unfair expectations to expect people to be experts. But maybe that shouldn't be our focus. Maybe what we should do for you, Rick, and for Shannon is to say, what do you think of this process? What does it make you think, the fact that it's being negotiated in secret, and our senators and our congressmen are not even being told what is being negotiated? However, I think it's either 300 or 600 corporations are doing this deal for the United States. Does that alarm you more? Does that alarm you directly without knowing the details?
Oh, absolutely. I was actually incredibly shocked to hear Obama speak on the TPP, fully supporting it after hearing and doing a little bit of research. Similar to Shannon, I'm no expert, but I have done some level of research into the TPP where I can in my free time. And just after seeing what I've seen, hearing what I've heard, and then listening to President Obama, who I've supported time and time again and defended against many of my friends and extended family, I was shocked to hear him support it, and I'm trying to find out where he's saying everything is fair, everything is good for our country. I'm trying to look for that.
Rick, and let me tell you, I want to stop you there for one special reason. That's what we are trying to do as well. So together we got to do that because we know there's something else that's up. But I want Shannon to jump into here a second as well.
Yes, I mean, it's really surprising to me because it's kind of against everything that stands for Keep It in the Sunshine Act. The freedom and open doors, keeping all this legislation out there in the open. Was created for mass. Well, I studied in mass media law, and it's appalling that they're using their power to counteract that.
Well, I tell you what, imagine what both you and Rick says. The admonition that I want to tell you guys is, as Tim said, Tim made a good point when he said that maybe we have the wrong expectations. I want to kind of modify that a bit, that it's not that we have, it's not that we need to change our expectations. It's that we need to ensure that, in fact, we are communicating in a manner that the Ricks and the Shannons of our society, because those are the ones that we have to bring up, not up to speed, because I don't want to sound condescending, bring into the fold, if you will, to let them realize that a lot of the ills that they're themselves going through right now, it's because of a lot of these policies that didn't think sufficiently in the future about it. Tim, earlier you said, is President Obama seeing something further down the road? Hey, I am sorry. No, it's a bit deeper than that in my personal opinion. But look, Rick, it has been a pleasure speaking to you. Please do us a favor. Stay engaged. Not only stay engaged, but you said you found us scanning the station. Ask your friends to scan our stations and other stations wherever in other towns as well that gives honest, real, progressive programming that's looking out for the middle class centric programming. So it's a pleasure speaking to you, Rick. And let's go to Robert.
Hi.
Robert, how you doing, my friend?
Good. How you doing, sir? I want to thank you for your service, and I mean, you do a great job in KPFT. Always done a great job, and I want to thank you for that.
Well, I want to thank you for listening.
You're welcome, sir. Well, I'm just a young person. I'm in my mid-20s, and I do know for a fact that politicians over the years, over the millennia, or whatever you want to call it, they've always done the same thing. It's just, we have this idea where they're going to actually change something, but it always kind of backfires on the middle class and the people that actually go out and support you. And again, the thing that we have to realize is these people were.
You're breaking up a little bit, Robert, so kind of see if you can get us into an angle where we can keep hearing you, because you have some good stuff to say here.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, like I was saying, every time we put somebody in office, it kind of backfires for the middle class. And the thing that we have to remember is that the people that actually control the monopoly are the corporate masters, and they put them in power, so they have people to answer to. Just like I have a job and I have to answer to a boss. All these presidents, all these politicians, they have people that they have to answer to.
Good point.
So at the end of the day, if the people that put them in position, they need them to pass a law like the TPP, which is completely what we would consider backwards from what we are.
Right. Well,
then he has to do it because behind closed doors, he has he has
a payback. Robert, that is an analysis beyond your years, sir, okay? Because you're right. You're right. They ultimately, if you do remember, yes, when President Obama ran, he got a whole lot of little money from a whole lot of little people, but he also was one of the biggest recipients of a lot of monies from the corporate elite. That is a fact. So when you say that there is a time where payback has to occur, I think you hit it on the money. I want to bring Tim in on that particular subject, and then I'll come back to you, Robert. Tim.
Well, there's something that's kind of, I agree with you. It's about the money. But there was a recent concession that Ron Wyden and others got. And it will essentially delay, they will have fast-track authority, but the ultimate final vote will not be until October 2016. right before the election. Now, one wonders if that was set up deliberately to give the people a chance to say, politicians, if you vote for this, you're out.
Right. I'm getting a lot of background. Is that your car, Tim, or is it Robert?
I believe it'd be Robert.
Okay. Yeah, let me come back to you real quick, Robert, so that we can then go to the next caller. So, Robert, as I mentioned before, you make a very important point, and what Tim just said about the calculated concession made for Wyden. I'm a little bit different with the thing for Wyden. I think Wyden himself was looking for a way out. He knew he was going to support it, but he needed something to take back to Oregon. But anyhow, Robert, thank you for calling, and please keep listening. Call back and keep spreading the word to the folks around your age, and please encourage them to listen to this type of radio. Okay, my friend?
Will do. Thank you.
You have a wonderful day, sir. Okay, let's go to, I think, is that Reese? Reese, talk to me. Reese, are you there?
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry I got cut off earlier, but most of the callers, and as well as Tim, have made the point, and I think yourself, is that, we're giving away our sovereignty to foreign nations by agreeing to this trade act and allowing them to take our tax dollars to subrogate their losses in our soil or business, that has to do with our companies that are, quote unquote, based in America, based on, like a previous caller said, if we raise, labor,
right,
for our country, and they do business on our soil, such as Toyota and other car manufacturers, et cetera, and they lose money out of their, profits because of that, and then we have to make them whole is just ludicrous, and it's frustrating. But just being on this show this long, thinking about it over and over, it just is starting to infuriate me.
Let me tell you. Let me stop you right there.
Giving it away.
Yeah, hold on, Reese. I want to tell you that infuriation is not the answer. First of all, I know. So be on this call and get concerned, infuriated. No, because I tell you what I did. Yesterday. Yesterday, I called two places. I called my two senators and I called my my Congressman Ted Poe. But I didn't only do that. I also asked them, candidly off record. I asked them, "Have you been receiving a whole lot of calls?" Answer: yes. Have the calls been mostly in favor or against the TPP? Mostly against. It tells me that, in as much as these guys many times do what they want to do, when the temperature reaches a particular value in which their presence in that body is at stake, they react, and the people who govern them, the plutocracy that governs them, give them the leeway to react. And I'm telling you, if we make this more of a story, and I'm not only talking about here on KPFT, but I am sure you have several hundred, if not thousands, of Facebook followers. Everybody that's listening to my voice right now has many followers on Facebook, Twitter, all these kinds of things. In as much as this isn't a sexy sounding subject, make it so and put it into your flow, because no more is the media, ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, and all these other places. You know what's the media? You are. And you know what? There's only one thing we have to be sure of: net neutrality. The one thing we have to be sure of so that there is democracy remaining in this country is an open internet. And even that they tried to take away a few months ago, and they're still in court now trying to take that away. But since we still have that power, every single person that is listening to me has the power. They just don't want you to know it. You have the power to inform everybody that you're around. Link up to here, KPFT and all these other places. Link up. Knowledge is power. So don't get mad. As they say, get even. All right, Reese? It was a pleasure speaking to you, buddy. I've got to go to the other call.
One more quick question. Any resources that you could recommend to find out more about the TPP for those that want to research?
Yes, I tell you what. If you go, this is not going to be self-serving, but go to politicsdoneright.com or egbertowillies.com. I have links to different places, including citizens.org, but I don't have the link right now to tell you where to go. And drop me a line. Go to the Facebook page for Politics Done Right and we can have a dialogue, and we can talk, and you can help bring us into the domain of folks that can actually do something. So you can be a seed, brother, okay?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, and you have a wonderful day now. And next person is Teague. Go ahead, Teague, or Teg, I don't know how you say it.
Yeah, Tag, how you doing?
All right, Teg, how you doing, my friend?
Good, good. You know, everybody knows that this TPP is backed by the Republicans. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, the Eagles had a song. You familiar with the band The Eagles?
Yes, of course. Of course. Hotel California, senor.
Yeah. They had a cute little line in a song said, "We'll take away your silver, but we'll bring you back some gold." Remember that?
Yes.
And that's exactly the way this is being presented to us. The same thing when NAFTA came and
right.
Clinton pushed the same idea.
Right.
Well, we're going to take some of your silver, but we'll bring you back gold. Well, the gold came back to corporations, but the people didn't get the gold. And so I kind of look at it like this. You know, if you jump in your car and you want to drive to Katy, you hope I-10's not all plugged up, right?
Right.
So what happens is that corporations are looking at it like all these things that are in place right now stops them from getting to Katy to make the profits. And so what they're trying to do is they're trying to build a new freeway just for them and leave all the regular people down on I-10.
Now we can talk.
And that's the way I see it. And this is all for corporates so they can make more money. And really, if the people in the U.S., the middle class, get squeezed out a little more, they don't care because they're making money worldwide.
Teg, we got to go to a break so that Shannon can give her weather and street stuff. And then I'm going to come back to you because I want to say we're not just going to talk around here. We're going to do a little bit more than talking. Go ahead, Shannon.
Okay. On the North Freeway, at Katy Freeway, a heavy truck accident is affecting the left shoulder, center lane, left interchange ramp, and right interchange ramp. And on the East Sam Houston Tollway, clockwise at Fairmont Parkway, the right lane and exit ramp are blocked by an unknown cause. On the Tomball Parkway, southbound at 1960, an accident involving two vehicles is affecting the frontage lane. It is currently 90 degrees and partly cloudy skies. 20% chance of rain later today. And overcast, stray showers for this afternoon is possible. Low of 72. Partly cloudy and mostly cloudy skies and scattered thunderstorms for tomorrow, and a high of 86 degrees. Back to you, Egberto.
Wait, Shannon, it's 90 degrees? My God.
It is. It was 89.8. Oh, no, it'll get worse. It gets much worse. Don't you worry, it'll be a sauna.
Early. Oh, my God. Okay, let me bring Tim into the conversation because Tim have been sitting out just too long. Brother Tim.
Well, first of all, I have to be in amazement that it's 90 degrees in Houston, and I do not. I've heard that the Houston roads are legendary for being congested. So even though I'm about 2,000 miles from you, the legend of Houston continues. Really, you've got a great group of callers, Egberto, and really, there's what we need to do, though, and I know we're coming down to the closing minutes of the show. What we need to do is, I think the Democrats are aligned on this. But what we have to do, as liberals, as progressives, as independents, is we have to encourage our Republican friends to talk to their Republican legislators in overwhelming numbers. And I'm talking about Texas, I'm talking about the Farm Belt, I'm talking about the Deep South. Unless the Republican rank and file start coming forward and say, this is a bad deal, and this is our litmus test for November 2016, you know, this thing could get passed.
That the deal, Tim, because you work with the Coffee Party as well as the Tim Donaghy Show. Why don't you tell folks a little bit about that and how that particular organization opened the doors for conversations with other people so that we can best serve the middle class?
Well, the Coffee Party USA is extraordinary, and I would encourage members not only to support KPFT because it's a priceless asset for the community because you finally get another voice heard. The Coffee Party USA is an organization that focuses on issues and quite honestly does not care what party you represent. or what your point of view is. What it wants to do is to facilitate the discussion in a civil way. What it wants to do is bring forth the facts about TPP, and let's get it out there. Let's exchange ideas, and then let's turn these ideas into action. And we believe that when we have these kinds of conversations and we take them back to our communities, then we can have a positive effect on citizen representation in our government.
Absolutely.
So
go ahead. I'm sorry, Tim.
That's what makes the Coffee Party USA special, and you will not hear Coffee Party USA on Fox News. You will hear it on KPFT.
Hey, let me tell you something else, folks, and this is important. Earlier I said, to one of our friends who called into the show that he found us scanning KPFT on the radio, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That is great. And, my friend here, Teg, is calling in, and Teg is complaining about the corporations and all of that. We love that. But we want to take it a step further. We want to be not just the complainers, but the folks that are going to say, hey, first of all, the first thing you get when you get this conversation occurring here at KPFT is you hear folks say, we hear knowledgeable folks from all stripes talking about the problems that we have. But one of the things that a lot of times we don't talk about is, well, are we going to just continue to yap about it? Or are we going to actually jump into the body politic? On my blog site, egbertowillies.com, or politics and actually it's egbertowillies.com, I have a phrase that I say, political involvement should be a requirement for citizenship. And I really mean that. I'm a naturalized U.S. citizen. And one of the things that I don't think I've ever missed a vote. I don't think I've ever not had an active participation in the body politic for one specific reason. I believe all of us have to be invested in the country that we want to call home, invested and make a difference in the country. So while it is okay to complain, we have to do a little bit more than that. And anytime, and I tell you what, I hope my show can be a little snippet, a little seed that gets people into saying, I am going to do something. I'm not going to just sit down and complain and say, hey, things are so bad, but we don't have an option. Hell, we do have an option, and we can control our destiny because there are more of us than there are of anybody else. There are more of us than there is plutocracy. Teg, final words. Teg, final words. I guess he must be on mute, my friend. Okay, let's go to John for A. John, come on in.
Good afternoon, Egberto. It's John, your friend from Chicago.
Hey, John, my friend from Chicago. Talk to me, my buddy.
What I was calling about is I told the young lady I'm going to interrupt this show for a commercial announcement.
Oh, my God, you scare me. As long as it's not a competing one to KPFT, go ahead.
Yeah, to everyone that's listening, would you spend $5 on a Starbucks cup of coffee to sit and listen and talk and have a good conversation with Egberto? Would you spend $5 on a beer? How much would you spend for a college course to listen to Egberto? And I also have to give a plug to my good friend Mike Honig.
That's our buddy.
You folks, you do, when I try to get into Rush and all of that, they'll never take a call when it's an opposing view. And you guys do, and we figure it out, talk about it amicably. And I'm disabled and retired. And I've been a member for a few years, and I am very proud of it. And my T-shirt is wonderful, by the way, Egberto.
Well, thank you.
But anyway, anyone
we took a long enough time to get it to you.
Anyone listening to this program, buy Egberto a beer next week. Buy Egberto a cup of coffee. Buy Egberto, Mike Honig on ThinkWing.
And let's tell them what time ThinkWing comes on. ThinkWing is a great show. Mike Honig's great host. He comes on Mondays at 9 p.m. Folks, please remember that. Go ahead,
yes.
Go ahead, John.
And that's it, sir. No, just one quick thing with the Koch brothers. I say it a different way in unpolite society. But each one of us, I wish there was a mathematician that could say, all of you voters that did not vote, It's sort of a reverse voting poll tax. If I vote in the next election, I take away, say, $300 of the Koch brothers' money. Our votes are worth money. Pay attention to the politicians, and I thank you for all your investigations and your knowledge. It's like going to college every day. I listen to you, and I appreciate you, sir.
Well, my dear brother, I appreciate those kind words, and please keep listening, and please keep encouraging folks to come on out to KPFT.
I certainly will, and the commercial interruption is over.
But let me tell you, folks,
take care, my friend.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. You have a great day,
you
John.
as well.
All right, my friend. Now, folks, I mean, John is making an important point about we're in a part of the country that don't get this kind of radio. We're, progressive radio. Not only, people have a tendency to just categorize radio, progressive radio or right-wing radio or whatever. I think at KPFT it's a lot more than progressive radio. It is about truthful radio. And John said something that is important, and that is we're not looking for yes callers. We're not looking for callers that just there to stroke us and say, oh, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, if you have a real disagreement, we want to hear it, because you know what? I'm going to tell you something else better. I've learned much from callers that have called in. I've learned from callers who've said certain things, and I've gone home, pulled up the internet and said, let me do an investigation about this particular thing the person said, and came back on air and said, you know what? I think what John was saying actually is more plausible, or etc. So it's an avenue of having communications, real communications, and you being a part of it. That's what you get when you have a station like this. For closing, I need to run to Tim. Tim, give me a quick closer, my dear friend.
Well, I certainly will, and I'm gonna say a quote from Thomas Jefferson that you can hear here on KPFT. You will not hear it on Fox. You will not hear it on NBC, Comcast, ABC, or CBS. And the quote comes from Thomas Jefferson. It's from 1816, and it pertains indirectly to the TPP. Thomas Jefferson said, the end of democracy and the defeat of the American Revolution will occur when government falls into the hands of lending institutions and moneyed incorporations.
Wow.
Almost 200 years ago to the day.
Wow, prescient. Well, look, Tim, it has been an honor having you on my show. This is the second time you've been on my show, and I'm very sure you will be on my show again. I really appreciate all that you bring to the show. So thank you very much, and you have a wonderful day. Okay, my friend?
Thank you, Egberto, and thank you to your callers and listeners for supporting KPFT. Great.
People, listeners, thank you very much for giving me this time with you. And with that, it's the end of our show. You have a wonderful day. EgbertoWillies.com. I'm out. Thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. You can personally reach me by sending an email to egberto@politicsdoneright.com. Remember, Egberto is spelled E-G-B-E-R-T-O. Change starts with you. 90.1 KPFT gives you information not tainted by corporate interest. Please visit kpft.org and contribute. Let's ensure continued access to real information and news remain available to all. Again, thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right.